Okay, Tom, I stopped that a little bit early there in part one because you say you like to share your knowledge. Now, you told me that there are 4 dark arts, so I want you to go through these dark arts with me and tell us. So we're going to start off with edge identification.
Right, now let's just look at a path between where you are now or where anybody is just now and becoming a professional bettor. I've known a lot of them over time, and some of them are very skilled in one of these 4 areas, maybe 2, maybe 3. It's difficult to be skilled in all 4, and all 4 take work. The first one is edge identification. Now, obviously, if you're going to be beating the markets, or even if you're going to be beating poker, you need to have an edge. You need to have the edge on your side. And I've been through many different syndicates over my time, and one of my roles and responsibilities was to identify where we can get edges. And edges come and go over time. Sometimes edges come and you just ruin them. One of the big ones that we ruined, I mean, you can loosely categorize them into, in this country we benefit from each way exploitation, which most people will be familiar about. There is chasing steamers and hopping on them, making sure that you get the right price and basically utilizing the power of smart money. So when the price is coming down, as long as you can get in early enough, there's no skill in that. You're just following other people's intelligence. But I think the real big thing is pricing things up yourself from first principles in edge identification, because in order to, most of the time when, for example, there is a good price, the bookmaker can either be cutting it or comparing it against the exchange, or if they're a top price outlier, then it's not very sustainable betting on this long term. So if we can price things up ourselves, then this is definitely a bonus. And one of the things we did with the William Hill Great Sports Offers, anyone that's walked into a William Hill betting shop in the last 10 years will have seen the screen with 25 buttons on the bottom. And you could have the sports bet of the day. And the sports bet could be something like over one corner every 15 minutes of the game in both the New York and Estac Troyes matches. I mean, really kind of weird and bizarre things they were putting up there. And they thought that they were all, bad bets for the punters, good bets for William Hill. And I remember we were standing in the shop staring at one of these, very difficult to work out precisely in shop because they require a bit of mathematical framework behind them. But the odds just didn't look. The odds looked great for the punter. So we got into a process of collecting all 25 William Hill Great Sports Offers every day for years and years and years. And we would work out the value of all 25. And in order to work them out, we started building up our own models. We would price things up ourselves. You can't just go into the markets and find what the market price is for over one corner every 15 minutes in New York and Estac Troyes. You have to put the work in yourselves. And we would find that every day 20 would be bad, 2 or 3 would be thin, and 2 would be great. And it was every day of the week. So we did this for a long time. We were talking big limits. I mean, they were taking £500,000 bets on these. Sometimes, the odds are 10 to 1, 20 to 1. And that enabled us, until we killed it, to profit significantly from William Hill. Unfortunately, if you walk in now, you'll still see the hardware with the 25 buttons, but you'll no longer see the William Hill Great Sports Offers. We take full responsibility for that, and we do apologise to anyone that was hitting them hard. So the first dark art, take some responsibility, price things up yourself, and identify where your edges are.
Okay, the second dark art, everybody moans about getting on.
Well, of course, people moan about it, but remember, this is a game. I mean, there's a theory in poker, or there's a component of poker that, let's say I'm in my opponent's shoes and I get Queen 10 suited, and I push all in, and then I look down, and I would have done that if I was my opponent. This is critically important. I'm looking at my opponent. If I was him and I got Queen 10 suited, and I would go all in, and I'm looking down, and I see a pair of 10s, and I think, well, I'm going to have to call, and I call, and I see Queen 10 suited. I can't immediately think you're an idiot. And if I lose the hand, I can't just smash my tripod against the wall and think, what was the guy doing with Queen 10 suited? You have to put yourself into the other person's shoes, and you have to say, if I was him, I would have done the same thing. And a lot of the times with the bookmaker, if I'm the bookmaker, I don't want to take a single penny out of me. So the first thing everyone, I think, needs to do if taking their betting seriously is to stop worrying and moaning about restrictions and difficulty, and start focusing on the problems of how are you going to get on. If you're betting at soft bookmakers online, you have to understand that's not a reasonable way to be betting professionally and sustainably over the long run. There are solutions to shop bookmakers. Look up and down the country, there are shops. There are shops down every single high street. There's plenty of value in these shops, and they're traditionally a lot easier to get money down on anonymously, and higher stakes with fewer restrictions. And then the next one being, of course, exchanges. Exchanges can be full of markets that are biased, that have value seeping into them, and rather than just sitting around worrying about how to get on at soft bookmakers, maybe it's easier to focus on how can we improve our shop game, how can we improve our exchange game, and then if we do solve those problems and we do have access to online soft bookmakers, we suddenly realise there's so much value there that is so easy compared to the first two things. That's shooting fish in a barrel.
Right, staking optimally.
Yeah, so staking optimally is critically important, especially if doing this professionally. I have a mortgage to pay and children to feed, so £5 and £10 bets at evens aren't really going to be doing me a lot of favour. So I have to stake as high as I possibly can without going broke, and this is important because I could put all my bankroll now, all the money I have in the world, on the next race, but if it loses, then I'm in trouble. And I speak to a wide variety of professional bettors, and no matter how high they stake, they always ask the question, am I staking high enough? And this can be boiled down to looking at different staking methodologies. You could be betting a unit win, a unit loss, a Kelly staking strategy. So unit win, every bet wins £1,000. Unit loss, £10, and every bet, doesn't matter the odds. And Kelly, you're changing the stake based on the perceived value of your bet. Now, unit loss sounds like a stupid one. Why would you bet £10 at evens and £10 at 100 to 1? Well, two reasons. One's logistics. If you're putting a lucky 15 on with 4 different horses in a shop, you don't want to be sitting down with a calculator in the shop trying to do some mental gymnastics of what the perfect value staking is for that. In fact, you're killing volume by trying to be a little bit more precise. So in some situations, unit loss is actually a valuable way of staking. Most of the time, Kelly is a good way of staking where, you know, if I'm offering you 6 to 4 on a coin flip, you probably want to be going down to the cash machine and taking most that you can afford to take out and betting on that, because that's not an opportunity that you're going to be seeing very often. But everything boils down to betting high enough by mathematically looking at the different staking options, looking back at past histories and seeing how they would have performed in terms of return on investment in real world data.
Okay, psychological management.
And again, this is the strange one, because when betting, nobody can just be a robot. Perfectly, in a perfect world, you would be an Excel spreadsheet where win or lose, you just total up what happened at the end of the day. But we've all been at the end of a brutal losing run and thinking, can I be bothered to continue doing this anymore? One of the ways through that is certainly syndication. People that do this by themselves, they don't have a lot of longevity. People that work in syndicates, it's very difficult to start being lazy in a syndicate, because there's always that guy that has the drive of, come on, let's go again. You know, we've lost for the last 3 months, but we know that we've just been running bad and it's going to turn, and it inevitably does. The worst thing you can do is lower your volume or change your strategies based on a little bit of variance that's creeped into your betting history. And so working on your psychological management, trying to figure out how it doesn't affect your mood so that you don't get in a bad mood at the dinner table in front of your children, but also having the drive to continue through losing runs is critically important. And the other bit, surround yourself by good people. That harps back to the bit about conferences, a bit about communities, trying to get people to share information with you, because by bouncing around with these people and sharing it, the losing runs, they can turn around and go, you know, I had a similar one last year, but you do get through it, and it really genuinely helps. So working on the psychological management is an important aspect of professional betting.
Okay, now anybody watching this so far will be quite refreshed that you're giving, like say, you like to share your knowledge. So this one,
okay,
all you professional gamblers, you always talk about expected value.
Yes.
Now I've asked people before, and they're either reluctant or it's just like a sixth sense.
Right.
So
okay.
how do you come to an accurate expected value?
Okay, so expected value is the back odds that you're getting divided by the fair odds that you make the bet. Now, so we can delve down here. The back odds is easy. We know what that is. What is the fair odds? This is what it comes down. How can we estimate what the fair odds is for anything happening? Of course, with a coin flip, we know it's 0.5. But what is it for the horse to win? What is it for Raducanu to win? How do we model our sports betting? So we have a hybrid approach, and this is extremely important. Our hybrid approach is to first, we price everything up ourselves from first principles. We take a lot of data. Let's say we have data for a football match. We take the expected goals for both teams in the football match. And from there, I can build up a scoreline, a correct scoreline from 0-0 to 2020. There are various different probability distributions used to do this. It's not quite a binomial distribution, meaning that each goal isn't independent of the goal that's happened before it. The longer a game goes on 0-0, the more likely it is to be 0-0. If you get a game that's 2-2 at half time, it's probably going to end up 5-4. So more goals make more goals. So work out what your probability distribution is. And if I can sum up everything from 0-0 to 2020, add in a bit of bias for 0-0 and everything else that comes into these probability distributions, there's my price for the market. And I can just sum up 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, all the way up to 2019, and I've got my odds of the team to win. However, and critically, the hybrid model says that I've now done this, and now the market over here, the exchanges, even the bookmakers' prices, are starting to say something different. Money's coming in. I would be a complete idiot to say, well, my price is right, and these prices have got it wrong. There's so much information in the markets that has to be brought in and put into your model when things are happening, when there's a delta price change. So the hybrid model takes our market that's been calculated from first principles and it merges what information is out there, and we come up with a hybrid model. And now I've got my fair odds for 0-0 to 2020 in the game. I sum them all up and I can find out that Manchester United to win and both teams to score is 4.232 in my model, and I can go and get 4-1 at Star Sports or on the exchange, and I have myself a value bet. And that is how we benchmark EV, or expected value, at bookie bashing. We determine the fair odds, and it's the back odds divided by those fair odds equals the expected value.